What's going on, everyone? It's Marco Hanna, and 2015 is a brand new year to be filled with a lot of smartphone announcements, so welcome to my top smartphones to be announced in 2015. So I kind of want to go in the order of when I think these devices will be released, starting off with number 1, the HTC One M9, just because, well, it's going to be announced right before the Samsung Galaxy S6 event on March 1st in Barcelona at the Mobile World Congress event, and our own Cam will be there to cover the whole event live and have hands-on with the HTC One M9, but typically it's the next generation of the HTC One device. Similar design, a lot of new improved specs in terms of the Snapdragon 810 processor, 3 GB of RAM, perhaps a resolution bump on the display, but we're still going to have that beautiful metal design, the boom sound speakers. It's going to be a very fantastic device, and there have been rumors about different stuff coming out with the HTC One M9, perhaps a different model, maybe a bigger model like the iPhone 6 Plus, and also a wearable of some sort. And right after the HTC One M9 is going to be the Samsung Galaxy S6 and perhaps the Samsung Galaxy S Edge, which all could be also announced on March 1st at Mobile World Congress. Now, the Galaxy S6, we've seen a lot of videos about it from Samsung, just kind of a slim profile. It looks to be made out of metal, looks to be a little curved, untapered on the sides, and it looks to be the best Samsung device that will probably be coming out of the Galaxy S range. Probably be a whole lot better than the Galaxy S5 and all the ones that were before it. It's going to have really improved hardware in terms of the processor, probably the 810, maybe an Exynos octa-core chip from Samsung, especially in Korea. I'm basically guessing one of the best Exynos chips we've seen. Now, I'm not sure if it'll actually make it to the US. We're also going to be finding Android 5.0 Lollipop, TouchWiz, and just a lot of improvements. And we also might find a Edge variant of the Galaxy S, which could be saying a couple things. Either the Edge thing is catching on to a lot of people, I'm not sure if that's true, or it's just a secondary experiment to see if people like the Edge in a smaller form factor. Now, the Galaxy S6 is probably going to be shrunking down to a 5-inch display, but the resolution will be Quad HD at 2560 by 1440, 3 GB of RAM. I've told you about the processors, and it's going to have probably a brand new camera in terms of this is going to be a spectacular camera because Samsung has not disappointed in terms of camera tech. So we might find a 20 megapixel, a 21 megapixel, heck, we might even find a 30 megapixel camera. Now, it's very unlikely, but hey, it's Samsung, they could probably pull it off. And the next phone on my list is going to be the OnePlus Two, which I know is going to be coming out sometime between Q2 or Q3 of 2015. Now, this phone is going to be more expensive. That's one thing that I probably, or everyone kind of agrees on. It's going to be a more expensive phone so they can mass produce them. Also, it's going to be amazing. I mean, we're talking about the best specs available halftime through this year. Probably talking about the 810 chip, probably a faster clock speed than, say, the Galaxy S6 and the HTC One M9. 3 to 4 GB of RAM. I'm leaning more 4 GB of RAM. It's going to have a Quad HD display. It's going to be good, and it might be a higher quality phone. In terms of design, in terms of materials used, it's going to be a very spectacular phone. And I definitely cannot wait. And I know you guys already love the OnePlus One. I definitely love it. It's one of the best devices and just recently got updated to Android 5.0 Lollipop, a stock form of Lollipop. And it's just one of the best phones of 2014, and it's still to this day one of my most favorite devices. Now, after the OnePlus 2, we're probably going to be taking a look at the next generation LG flagship called the LG G4. Last year's LG G3 was one of my most favorite devices. It had a Quad HD display, a beautiful design. It had a great camera, OIS, 4K UHD video, had a great display. I got a Quad HD. It was IPS, not the brightest display, but it was definitely one of the most vivid displays and more color accurate displays of 2014. Really up there with the HTC One M9 in terms of accuracy there. But the LG G4 is looking to be a much more improved version, probably around the same design. It might be a little different. It actually might be made out of metal this year. We're probably looking at the 810 chip, maybe something different. We're looking at 3 to 4 GB of RAM. Again, just a very spec'd out phone. We're probably not going to see a lot of design changes, maybe some material changes, but this is really going to be focused on the hardware and the software. 5.0 Lollipop is guaranteed. We're also going to see a modified version of the LG UI to fit Android 5.0 Lollipop a little bit better than the LG G Flex 2, and generally we're going to see a much better camera, again OIS, to fit the LG G4. Now, the fifth phone I want to talk about is the next generation Moto X. Now, we're talking about the third generation Moto X. It's probably going to be a little tiny bit bigger. It's probably going to have quad HD display. It's probably going to have a better camera, a bigger battery, and Android 5.1 Lollipop, or whichever version of Lollipop will be available at that time. And it's going to basically run the same version of stock Android with a little bit of Motorola's customization in terms of Moto Voice and Moto Actions and all that kind of stuff. We're probably going to see some more improvements. We're also going to see a little bit more Lenovo in terms of influence on the maybe design or perhaps the pricing. But it's definitely going to be one of those devices I'm really looking forward to in 2015. Now, again, it's going to be pretty far off from 2015. We're talking about maybe August to September timeframe. That's when the Moto X second generation came out last year, was around the September timeframe. So this is going to be a very interesting device. Again, I'm super excited for it. I love the first generation Moto X. I love the second generation Moto X. It's still one of my favorite devices. And it's probably going to carry over the great hardware build, the great customization of Moto Maker, and it's going to be running the latest version of Android and the best hardware, probably 810, probably 3 GB of RAM. It's going to be a very smoking phone. Now, the next phone on this list is going to be an Apple product. It's the iPhone 6s, and while it's probably not going to change aesthetically or design-wise or thickness-wise, it's probably going to have OIS on the camera, slightly upgraded hardware in terms of maybe an extra core processor, some extra RAM, but the biggest change to the iPhone 6s this year is probably going to be all software-based with iOS 9. Now, we haven't seen much about it, and we won't see much about it until WWDC this year, which is actually not too far off. It's going to be in June in 2015, and that's going to be the biggest thing with iOS 9 and the brand new iPhone 6s. Other than that, we're probably going to see a slight camera upgrade, maybe 4K video recording. I definitely am praying for that. And honestly, there's not much else. I mean, Apple kind of went drastic with the iPhone 6, so I definitely don't see them changing it again for the iPhone 6s, unless they just go ahead and ditch the S and make the iPhone 7, but I highly doubt that. And followed right after the iPhone 6 is going to be the next generation iPhone 6 Plus, maybe called the iPhone 6 Plus S, which does not sound clever at all, but it's Apple, they could pull it off. And it's going to have basically the same story, an upgraded camera, perhaps also it's going to have iOS 9. It's a big thing with iOS 9. And it's probably going to be supported a little bit more in landscape mode in terms of maybe Apple adding more functionality to the iPhone 6 Plus with iOS 9. That's definitely one thing that I'd like to see. Instead of just having it turn over to a portrait or a landscape side, give me more functionality. That would be great. But other than that, not much else is going to be different with these brand new iPhones. And the last phone in this list is the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. We literally just got finished with the Galaxy Note 4. It's still one of the best devices around, the best display. It has a lot of great hardware. But, I mean, come September, the Galaxy Note 5 will be here. It's going to have a bigger processor, a faster processor, probably the 810, maybe the 815, maybe something different we haven't seen before. Gonna have a better display, probably the same resolution of 2560 by 1440. I do not see the 4K resolution being pushed into mobile this year, maybe next year. Definitely that's gonna be a very interesting thing to see. It's gonna be happening in the next couple of years, but it's gonna be a very amazing phone, probably a little bit of a different design, maybe round off the edges, make it a little bit more iPhone 6 Plus-esque. Also, Android 5.0 Lollipop, the next generation of TouchWiz. It's just going to be a very powerful beast of a phone. It's going to have a bigger battery, just a whole lot of improvements. Now, the size, maybe 5.8 inches. I don't see that phone getting much bigger than it is. I think 5.7 is a sweet spot with the Galaxy Note models, and I think that would be great. So make sure to leave me some comments below what you think. If I missed any phones, I don't think I missed many of the major phones that are probably coming out in 2015. We might see some surprising devices, so it's definitely going to be a very crazy time in 2015, and it's going to kick off in just a couple of days. MWC is very close by here. It's going to start March 1st. And our own Cam will be there covering the whole event live from the show floor in Barcelona, Spain. I'm very jealous of him, so make sure to keep it locked here at PhoneDog.com. Make sure to follow Cam at PhoneDog_Cam. And as always, my name is Marco Hanna. I'll catch you guys in the next video.